Color is probably the most wonderful part about painting. There have been movements and times where people have talked about making what could be classified as ugly paintings, tough paintings. So many people look at someone like Rothko and they look at the paintings as color, and yet that color, many of his paintings have been dulled over the years because he used very cheap paint, and it did not hold up well in terms of brightness. My paintings are totally about color, and it's on many different levels. I first put an image on with a very watered down acrylic. I then put dots on with oil because oil color is superior regardless of what anyone says. The oil paint dots, they change all the time. I do not try to reproduce images with specific color. I look at the color that I'm working with on the canvas and make changes as I think is necessary. For me, being an artist is a philosophy of life, of how I choose to live my life. How do you make a living out of art? I was fortunate that I wanted to make things. That was a driving force throughout my life and still continues to be today. I had to make frames for some of my own work, and I could not afford to have them framed. So I took a few frames apart, found out how they were structured, and I started making my own frames. Later, I parlayed that into a business. At this point in time, the business world in the art world was very different. It was more gentle than I think it is today. And at one time, I had 8 full-time employees making frames throughout the world. I framed for a lot of artists in a lot of countries. In the beginning of that business, a lot of the people I framed for didn't have money. So I traded frames for art. In hindsight, I wish I had traded more, but of course I had a limit to how many frames I could make without money. In the beginning, the artist was the important person. The art was first most important. Then the artist became important. So, you have a piece by so-and-so. Then the gallery became increasingly more important. Who did you buy that piece from? Or where did you get that? And from that gallery. Oh, yeah, I've heard of that gallery. Today, I don't know. It's scary because I know some of the rents that galleries are paying. And I was told by one gallery, while they might love to show my work, they couldn't afford to because my work did not sell for enough money to support their overhead. And I said, well, that's not a problem for me. We'll just raise the prices. The sewing is the oldest part of my art making experience. My mother sewed a lot of her own clothes. I used to, as a small boy, reorganize her sewing kit. And my first item I made was a little bunny rabbit out of plaid material. And I wish I had it today because it was the first plaid bunny I'd ever thought of. My sewing continued. I pretty much did a little all the way up through high school. When I graduated from high school, I needed to get a job, and a couple days after graduation, while half of my friends were still hungover from the graduation party, I had started a job as an apprentice in a very small mattress factory. It was small enough that I learned every part of it. I learned how to repair some of the power sewing machines. And I learned to work on every type of sewing machine they had. I sew on a Bernina sewing machine that was, I think, made in the late 80s, all metal, made in Switzerland. There are machines that have long arms and all that. There are ones that are computerized and all the rest of it. I draw with my sewing machine. Money certainly does play a role in art. There are artists who, if you took away their sales, would not continue to make art. I am certainly not one of those artists. If no one ever bought a painting from me again, I would still make art.